I asked AI to predict the 2028 presidential election, and here are the results. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. Make sure to hit the like button to subscribe if you want more content just like this. This is a little bit of a more fun video. So right here, I basically had to do a deep research question where it literally goes online and it goes through every single source. And what we see here is a 2028 presidential election projections. I asked it to predict the primaries and the general election. And what it shows here is that JD Vance is overwhelmingly the favorite to be the GOP nominee, citing polling, and pretty much would clinch the nomination with virtually no competition, and even citing that President Trump signaled enthusiasm for his candidacy. So it really doesn't end up applying here. And then we see here the Democrat primary is a little bit more undecided according to the model. And it says that like a lot of other candidates are still there and it's more of a divided primary, but they actually project, the model projects or the AI projects that Pete Buttigieg will be the nominee. So it basically goes through everything and it pretty much ends up predicting a Vance victory of 300 electoral votes to 320 electoral college votes. And based on those results, we have created an electoral college map that would reflect that for both nominees. So this is strictly based off of the AI prediction. Looking at the safe Republican states, we have Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, the Dakotas, all of Nebraska, including the 1st congressional district, as well as Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. Alaska is also in this column. Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia, Missouri, South Carolina are all in the safe Republican column. But also Texas, Iowa, Ohio, and Florida are all over 12-point wins, including the state of Ohio, which if you look at the last election in the state of Ohio, Donald Trump actually won this state by about, give or take, 11 percentage points, a little bit about 11 percentage points. The margin is about 11.2%. So that is the margin that he won it by. And he ended up getting about 3.1 million votes, almost 2 million, 3.2 million votes in the state. Harris got like 2.6. My turnout model for the state projects Vance at about almost 3.3 million and Pete Buttigieg at like 2.4 million. So that is a big difference, and that is going to shift the state in the Republican direction. So that is ultimately going to change its classification from being a likely state to it being over a 12-point victory in this election. Looking at the safe Democrat states, which there are fewer than last time, we have California, Oregon, Washington in this election, as well as the state of Hawaii. But we also have Maryland, Rhode Island, as well as Massachusetts, Vermont, D.C., and Maine's 1st congressional district. And that actually finishes the safe Democrat states. What's very notable is if you look at the last general election map, you'd see that Delaware, Connecticut, and New York were safe states on the map. This time, that is not the case, and they are under the 12-point threshold in this election. This is mostly because of Pete Buttigieg's very weak points with religious voters, in particular Catholics, but also minority voters, which is why a state like New York is not going to fall under the 12-point column. Looking at the likely Republican states on the map, we have Arizona, Nevada, and Maine's 2nd congressional district, which went Republican before and is actually more Republican now. The state shifts about, give or take, 0.8 percentage points to the right in this election cycle. But in Arizona and Nevada, you see that those two states were actually lean states in the last election. Trump won the state by 5.5 points in Arizona, and in Nevada, he won it by 3. This time, Vance is winning Arizona by 7.4%, and he's winning Nevada by 6.8%. So they're much bigger wins, with Nevada being almost over double the original margin in the state. And this is mostly because of Hispanic voters kind of dropping off from Buttigieg, and Vance is actually able to flip Clark County because of this. He actually wins Clark County by a bigger margin than he does Washoe County, so he's able to actually pull that off. The new addition to the likely column, and this is because of Pete Buttigieg's historical underperformance with black voters, the state of Georgia falls so badly for the Democrats in this election, given Buttigieg's very weak points with black voters, that you actually see the state of Georgia vote as a likely Republican state, and Vance wins it by a bigger margin than when he won it by what Trump won it by in 2016. So it's a much bigger margin. It really isn't even a swing state anymore. It's more of a, lean / likely Republican state at this point in time. The likely Democrat states are Colorado, Illinois, New York, as well as Connecticut, Delaware, and Maine at large. So those also fall in the likely Democrat category, with the state of Colorado being a 10.5-point win. So it's only like a 0.4 percentage point shift to the right from the last election. So Colorado doesn't really budge at all for Buttigieg for the most part. Despite the national popular vote being significantly more Republican this time, he actually barely loses ground in in Colorado. But in Illinois, you do have it to where Vance does gain quite a significant amount. He gains about 2.2% on Trump's performance, and it's only a 500,000 vote margin for Pete Buttigieg in the state of Illinois. New York falls to a 9.6 percentage point win in the popular vote in the state, which is a 3-point shift away from Buttigieg. And then Connecticut falls all the way down to just an 11-point win. And Delaware only is a 10.9 percentage point win. And again, this is because of the state's black population shifting to the right. And that ends up making the state much more competitive than years past, although it is still not a lean state. It is still not a swing state, but it's definitely closer than the last few years. The lean Republican states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina, all fall in this column, with North Carolina actually voting to the left of Georgia. And this is because of North Carolina actually having less of a black population than Georgia, and mostly because there are more white voters in the state that do trend left. There are some like college educated groups that trend left this election cycle, and a lot of them are in North Carolina. So despite the black vote shifting heavily Republican, you do have some white voters that are shifting left in certain pockets of the state, and that is actually going to cause it to vote to the left of Georgia by about 0.5 point. So it is a 5.5-point win for Vance in this election cycle. But then looking at the lean Democrat states, and then the Rust Belt states are pretty much lockups for Vance. I mean, he wins Wisconsin by 2.2%, so like an 100,000 vote margin. He wins Michigan by 4.3%, and he's winning Pennsylvania by 3.8%. And he breaks Trump's raw vote total in all of the Rust Belt states. And this is mainly because of Buttigieg's extremely weak candidacy with almost every single major demographic in the United States, whether that be white working class voters, whether that be Hispanic voters, black voters, Asian voters. He basically fumbles with every single major demographic in the country, besides extremely college-educated white liberals. And this causes the Rust Belt margins to be even bigger for Vance than when they were for Trump in 2024. And so that is why you're seeing these states pretty much give Vance the electoral college. And when you look at the lean Democrat states, which there are only lean Democrat states left, there are no tilt states on the map. What you'll see is New Mexico shifts 1.5 points to the right. Nebraska's 2nd congressional district is only a 2-point win. Minnesota is only a 2.5-point win. So that's like almost a 2-point shift to the right. Virginia shifts about 1 point to the right, so a 4.5-point win for Pete Buttigieg. It's only a 200,000 vote margin there. New Jersey shifts to the right by 2 more points, but it's also not quite enough to flip the state yet. But it potentially could flip with Buttigieg on the ticket, but it would just really depend on certain factors as of right now. And then New Hampshire also stays above the 2-point category. And it's a 2.2 percentage point win for Pete Buttigieg, which is about 0.5 point to the right of what it voted for Harris in 2024. And this is actually a big deal if this actually ended up being true, because New Hampshire tends to swing away from the incumbent party. But it may be that Pete Buttigieg is such a weak general election candidate at a national level, that even New Hampshire, which typically swings away from the incumbent party, actually ends up going closer to the Republican, despite it shifting the least to the right out of all of the lean Democrat states / districts on this map here. And so that would leave Vance with 312 electoral college votes and Pete Buttigieg's 226 electoral college votes. Make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this. And I will see you guys in the next video.